Hello, I'm Janet Clare and I'm lovely to be here with you in the Fat Quarter Shop studio today. I'm going to talk to you a bit about my Storm at Sea quilt that I've made in my Ahoy My Hearties fabric collection from Moda, which you can get at the Fat Quarters. So it's a really beautiful detailed quilt. It's one of those things that you're going to want to make, and it's going to be treasured by your family for generations to come. It's a real heirloom. You're going to want to be a bit of a confident quilter to make it, but it's not as hard as you think it is. All you're going to be making is 2 blocks. I promise you the whole quilt is made with 2 blocks. My quilt pattern has got beautiful detailed step-by-step clear instructions, and the video that we're going to film is going to help you as well. All you're going to need to do is pay close attention to the cutting list and take your time. This is a quilt to savor and enjoy making. This is not a quilt to sit down and chain stitch for hours on end. You want to savor and enjoy every stitch. It's a real heirloom. So the 2 blocks you're going to be making are a diamond template, which we're going to use a template for, and a square in a square, and the entire quilt is made with those 2 blocks. I've broken the quilt down into 9 sections, and the first section we're going to be looking at today is here. This is the top left corner of the quilt, and it's just 9 sections, 9 blocks. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's a lot of sewing, there's a lot of cutting, but it's not hard. You're just going to have to really enjoy the process, and I'm here to help you with that at the Fat Quarter Shop. I'm going to give you some tips on making the square and the square block now. As I say, the pattern's very detailed, so all that you need to know is in the pattern. Just take your time and read it through carefully. You all know how to make half square triangles. The tip that you need to remember when you're making and cutting your half square triangles for this Sailing the Blue quilt is that you must cut mirror image triangles. So the diagonal line that I have drawn goes from top left to bottom right on one of the squares, and it goes in the opposite direction on the other one. You must cut them in opposite directions to get the full effect of the pattern. Okay, and then you've got your center square, and you're going to offer up your 4 triangles. You're ready to sew them together to make your square in a square block. It's really simple. I promise you'll be absolutely fine. Next tip to remember is you want to find the center point of your square and your triangle. I don't want to use my ruler all the time. Don't want to put in many pens or markings. I want to put as little of that on my cloth as I possibly can. So the easiest thing to do is take your square and fold it and just give it a little crease with your thumbnail, and then you'll know where that center point is. Do the same with your triangles. Fold them and score them. Just make a nice little line, and then you're going to align that really carefully. Pop a pin in there if you like sewing with a pin, and then stitch down with your 1/4 inch seam allowance just as you normally would. Don't rush, just enjoy making this project. This is not a quick made it in a weekend project. This is something you're going to savor because it's going to outlast you, and your family are going to treasure it. So this is a really lovely project for you to make. Okay, so you're going to sew opposite triangles together onto your center square, and then you're going to do exactly the same with the other 2. Pay attention to your fabric direction, and then you have your square in a square. So just pay attention to the fabric combinations, take your time and enjoy your stitching, and all will be well. Square in a squares. So be very careful with your pattern placement. Make sure you're cutting your half square triangles to have mirror images, and then your fabric that is directional will really work well for you and start giving you those sweeping curves that we're trying to achieve. Don't worry too much about being accurate. Just do your very best and enjoy the process. But here are the square and square blocks, and I want to show you how many fabric combinations you're going to be using. So this is why you can't just chain piece it really quickly. You're going to have to take your time and make sure you're paying close attention to the pattern so you know where to put your fabrics in the right place. So these are the square and the squares, and you make lots of those for one of your pieces, and then the center of each of your 9 sections is a square in a square in a square in a square in a square. Okay, which sounds really daunting. Very simple. Just follow the tips and the pattern, and here it is in the quilt. So that's the square in the square in the square in the square in the square. So that's it. That's all you have to do, and you're well on your way now to making Sailing the Blue. I'm going to give you some tips now on making your diamonds for your Sailing the Blue. As before with your square and a squares, you're going to want to pay close attention to your fabric combinations. They're all very clearly written out and illustrated in your pattern. Here are a few of them here which I'm showing you now. The templates I'm using are by Marti Michell, and you can get them at the Fat Quarter shop. They just make your life a lot easier. The angles are very complicated, and the width of the diamond that you need to cut is, you know, it's so important that you're accurate, that it just makes your life a lot easier if you've got the template. The pattern, however, does include the paper template. If you'd like to do it the traditional way, or by yourself, that's absolutely fine. Just do the way that you're going to enjoy the most. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few little tips now for how you're going to use your templates. So you're going to have your fabric all cut. I've trimmed the selvages away, so I've got a nice crisp edge here, and you're going to cut the diamond first. You're going to cut from your side of your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, you want to have the crisp edge on your right-hand side. That's the opposite way to we usually do. Just use your lines on your cutting mat as good as you can. Take your nice long ruler and your diamond template, and you're going to trust the template here for the measurement. You're not going to worry about the lines on your cutting mat. So you're going to spend a bit of time. Again, this is all about savoring the process. It's a journey, not a race. Just line it up really carefully. Trust the template. When you're happy, everything's as straight as you're going to get it. Are we happy? There we go. We can slip the template away, take our rotary cutter, and that is the width we need to cut now for our diamond. There we go. We can do that. Okay. So just keep yourself nice and neat and organized. Okay? And then you're going to take your diamond template again. All the instructions are there ready for you. Trim it up, and then with your rotary cutter, be very careful. Be very, very careful. Take your time. You're going to cut. Okay? I'm just going to do this along here. So just trust your template. Across. Excuse me, I'm going to go right in front here. You want a nice steady hand. Make sure your arm's out of the way. Trim it all away. Pop all your tiny little pieces, and you have got one perfect diamond all cut and ready for you. So that's the diamonds. Nice and easy. Okay, so we've cut our diamonds, and now we're going to cut the triangles. Again, you're going to use your triangle template from the Marti Michell ruler that you can get at Fat Quarter shop. Pay attention again to the fabric, because they've often got a different fabric on each triangle to make your block. Everything you need to know is in the pattern. Just take your time and read it. Okay, so you're going to cut the strip the right height of your triangle. You're going to offer the template up as neatly as you can, and again, you're just going to cut round with your rotary cutter. That's all you're going to do. So you're going to mind your fingers and be careful. Do this diagonal along here, and then every single little notch you want to trim away. Just really, really take full advantage of having that template there. So that is one, and then you might need a mirror image of that. So the next time you're going to flip your template up, and you're going to use this again. So you see why you want to take your time. It's not hard, but don't rush. Here you go. There's really good detailed cutting instructions that tells you exactly how many of each fabric in each shape you need to be cutting. So there you go. And that is how you cut your triangles for your blocks. And then all you're going to do, and you've been sewing for years, you know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to get your diamond, you're going to offer them up. So this one will go here, and I need one of these to go in this corner here, so you can get in a muddle really quickly. Take your time, and then the opposites here and here. Take your time, organize it, pretty sides together. Zoom away on your machine and keep yourself nice and clean, organized, and you'll have a lovely time making the Sailing the Blue quilt. The quilt is broken down into 9 sections, and I've been talking you through and giving you some little tips on how to go about it. This is our first section. These are the 9 blocks that you're going to need to make your first section of the quilt, and I'm going to point it out now. This is the first section of your quilt. You've got 9 of these to do. You're going to enjoy making them, but take your time. This is how it looks when they're all flat. So square and a square and a squares, and your diamonds. Okay, so just pay careful attention to where you're going to place them. This is not a quick job. I like to press my seams open, which I know is not traditional, but the flatter you can get everything, the better. So all of my seams have been pressed open. It's a little fiddly step, but I think it really helps with accuracy. So if you're going to want to really make a good job, why don't you try that on a couple of your blocks and see how you get on. Then all you're going to do, piece that together exactly how you normally would, pretty sides together, neat accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance, and that's 1/9 of your Sailing the Blue quilt done. All done. You can get the pattern and the templates and this tip here at the Fat Quarter shop.